Live from WLNS TV, this is 6 News at 11.
Protesters take over Greater Lansing today to speak up against police brutality. It's our top story at 11. Thanks for joining us. I'm Kiera Lake. The fatal arrest of George Floyd sparked protests across the country, including right here in mid-Michigan. And in the video of Floyd's arrest, he can be seen on the ground handcuffed, saying he couldn't breathe while a white police officer kneeled on his neck. And now people are speaking up across the nation and protesting against police brutality. And the protest did turn violent tonight in downtown Lansing, and that's where we find our Kaylee Marentet. Kaylee, what's happening there now?
Kiera, things have really calmed down just within the last half hour. It's almost eerie quiet. Really no protesters out here, just officers still surrounding buildings. But I got to show you what happened earlier. We're at the Lansing Police Department, and their door is completely shattered. One of their doors is completely shattered. This is just one of the many buildings that have been affected by people tagging them, breaking in their glass and damaging other buildings. To give you another example of another building, the Romney building, police are completely surrounding it right now. Glass was broken out, doors were shattered, and police won't really let us get close. That's just one of the many buildings, though, and this has been a long day down in downtown Lansing. It started at 11 o'clock earlier today at the Capitol building when people made the trek to East Lansing, where an East Lansing police cruiser was smashed in. And then when the protesters came back down to downtown Lansing and on the intersection of Allegan and Washington, that's when things really took a turn. A car was flipped and set on fire, and that's when police really started to get involved. They came down, and then shortly after, multiple people broke into the windows of a Chase bank, some of them even trying to go in and loot, which actually caused a fight because they said they're not trying to loot. But a lot of damage was done here. Shortly after, multiple rounds of tear gas were given out, rounds even just a couple hours ago. But right now, it's eerie, quiet. There's a lot of damage that's been done, and we haven't really seen half of it. But again, the door was smashed in. There was a dumpster fire that crews had to put out, and there's still even stains of milk on sidewalks from people trying to wash out their eyes from the tear gas. We were in some of those tear gas, and people were affected for a long time after. But we'll have more for you on tonight on WLNS.com, following through the night to see how things go. For now, here for you in Lansing, Kaylee Marentet, 6 News.
All right, Ashley, thank you. And throughout this protest, hundreds of people walked from the Capitol in Lansing to East Lansing and back, constantly speaking out against police brutality. Ashley Graham was there, and she's here for you now with an overview of the day.
Here we caught up with one of the organizers during the middle of the protest today, early in the afternoon. She says she never expected for so many people to respond to her Facebook event and to come out and support, but she was happy to see all of them.
What started as a small gathering between friends turned into more than 1,000 people crowded on the Capitol lawn, determined to send a message that they say has been said time and time again.
This didn't start just with this last incident. This started years ago. And I think that people are just slowly just getting tired of seeing this, seeing photos and seeing videos of people senselessly getting killed and senselessly getting harassed.
They demanded justice for George Floyd after he died during an arrest in Minneapolis last week, justice for other black and brown people killed by police officers in recent years, and for an end to police brutality.
We do need law enforcement, but we need good police to police the right way, not to kill us and kill and not be held accountable. And that's anybody, black, white, I don't care who you are, to love one another and to embrace one another.
In between speeches at the Capitol steps and almost non-stop chanting, they marched together around the Capitol and going as far out as the East Lansing Police Department. For several hours, they were determined to keep things peaceful.
I'm not about violence. I'm about peace and love. There's a way to do anything. We have to walk in love. We have to treat each other with respect.
And send the right message.
I want all of you to make it home tomorrow, so that way you can come back and organize. Organizing is more than just this one moment. It's more than just being on the front lines.
Before the protest started, we also spoke with leaders from Lansing, East Lansing, and Ingham County law enforcement, and they stood together this morning to condemn police brutality and express that they would keep protesters safe during the rally. Kiera, back to you.
Ashley, thank you. Following the lead of other major cities across the state, Lansing Mayor Andy Shore has set a curfew for 9 p.m. tonight. It will last until 5 o'clock tomorrow morning, and he put the curfew in place because of the protests and of the way it unfolded later this afternoon. Mayor Shore says in a statement, quote, "The rally this afternoon was peaceful and respectful and focused on expressing anger and frustration with police brutality and racial injustice." He adds the situation unfolded quickly, but police were there to keep the city safe. Well, things in downtown Lansing did take a turn for the worst, and after protesters got destructive. 6 News reporter Brittany Flowers has been covering the protests since it started this morning. She's here for you now with when things went south.
A bank is destroyed, a car burned, and multiple rounds of tear gas deployed in downtown Lansing tonight after things take a drastic turn from today's protest against police brutality. The destruction started late this afternoon with a police car destroyed outside the East Lansing Police Department.
We are non-violent. This does not solve anything. This does not solve our problems. This does not solve the legislation. This does not give George Floyd's murderer to jail. This is not what we came here to do. We don't destroy property. The cop that had this car has not done nothing to us. This is not what we represent.
But despite intentions of a peaceful protest, less than 2 hours later, the destruction continues after some of the protesters take over the streets after heading back to downtown Lansing. A number of those people still pleading for others not to turn to violence. Police eventually forced to make their way towards the protesters, sending out multiple rounds of tear gas. A number of these protests against police brutality have turned destructive across the state. And while many say this was not what was supposed to happen here tonight, others are sending a different message. Here for you in Lansing, Brittany Flowers, 6 News.
Brittany, thank you. The Lansing City Council says it supports the goals of the protesters, although their statement went out shortly before things went bad. Council President Peter Spatafor was put out a statement on behalf of the council earlier tonight. It says the group supports the protesters and the cause for which they march. He calls the deaths of George Floyd and others deplorable and says we as a council will work to make sure that Black residents in our community are protected, safe, and heard in the city of Lansing. We're here for you now with what's happening across the state. In Grand Rapids, the protest there did start out as peaceful, but it also took a turn. Look at this video on your screen right now. Our sister station, Wood TV in Grand Rapids, reports large riots. Numerous buildings and cars were damaged last night, and now the mayor of Grand Rapids has declared a civil emergency. She's now asking the National Guard to protect the city, and the city will also be under a curfew for 48 hours. The curfew was from 7 p.m. tonight to 5 a.m. And for people who do not follow this rule, they could be fined $500 and could be put in jail for up to 30 days. Also, according to Wood TV, an army of volunteers filled Grand Rapids today to clean up the damage left by rioters. Dozens of people gathered to power wash the walls of the Grand Rapids Police Department headquarters, and the walls were covered in graffiti. For hours last night, rioters roamed downtown, setting fires, taunting police, and smashing glass storefronts. And in Detroit, police have fired off tear gas into crowds of protesters outside the police headquarters. Police say this is after they violated the 8 p.m. curfew that was made by Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan. This is the third day people took the streets to protest against police brutality. And last night, police arrested 84 people during their rally. And tonight marks the 6th night protest around the nation as protesters demand justice for George Floyd. Here for you now is Michael George with more from Minneapolis.
George Floyd! From chants of George Floyd in the nation's capital to no justice, no peace in Charlotte. Rallying cries could be heard across the U.S. again Sunday. Dozens of American cities, including Los Angeles, Chicago, Madison, Wisconsin, and Pittsburgh, dug out from the aftermath of several nights of sometimes violent protests.
How do we transform the systems of institutional racism that have stolen the lives of our loved ones over generations? Certainly not by by setting businesses on fire and smashing windows.
I'm so angry. Like, it's my life. I put everything in here.
The National Guard Sunday continued to patrol the streets of Minneapolis.
Okay, we're getting tear gas sent our way. We're going to back up a little bit.
It's here that the death of George Floyd during an arrest on Memorial Day set off a tidal wave of anger that rippled coast to coast.
We're not given certain opportunities to help us grow, and the only thing we're given is a way to die.
Minnesota Governor Tim Walz extended the 8 p.m. curfew in the Twin Cities.
If we do not get to that systemic problem, eventually this will get us back to a point that led to our communities on fire, our security and safety in question, and a searching for who we are.
Violence broke out Sunday after an interstate was shut down and a semi-truck drove through the crowd. Video shows protesters chasing the truck down and apparently beating the driver. Michael George, CBS News, Minneapolis.
This is Weather First from Storm Tracker 6, sponsored by Auto Owners Insurance for whatever lies ahead.
Our temperatures right now, we're sitting into the lower 50s. This is usually where we find our lows for this time of year, but we still have more cooling to undergo tonight. But we did have a little bit of cloud cover roll in this evening. George sent us this photo through Social Tracker, and it was a gorgeous sunset. When we did have those clouds move on in, providing some pretty nice definition. George even getting his drone out tonight with the nice weather, kind of taking this beautiful snapshot. So thank you for sharing that with us. Satellite and radar fairly quiet, but still we are watching this band of cloud cover just extending through many portions of mid-Michigan. You can kind of see that just dragging through the mid-Michigan area, and that's going to continue to kind of slide towards the east. So plan on still mostly clear conditions overnight. High pressure is still in control of our forecast, so we will be seeing those mostly clear conditions. And of course, we will be seeing a few clouds in and around, but none of these clouds will be bringing any rainfall with them. Actually, by Monday morning, we're going to start out with some sunny weather and even some dry conditions as well. But that will change because we have cloud cover that's going to be moving on in later on Monday into the afternoon. So plan on increasing clouds before we have rainfall that's going to be setting up for Monday evening. We're anticipating showers and non-severe thunderstorms Monday night. As far as the track of the system, some models taking a little further north, some bringing it through mid-Michigan. So during that time frame, though, at 11 o'clock, when that's going to be moving through the lower peninsula, we won't have a lot of energy during this time. So that means that we probably won't be seeing, again, severe storms, but still we'll want to keep an eye on any thunderstorms that do develop. Those will push out around 4 o'clock Tuesday morning, so then by daybreak we'll still have a few lingering clouds, but might even find a couple of breaks within the cloud cover. Temperatures currently sitting in the lower 50s in many cities, but we have dropped down to 49 in Jackson, 48 in Hillsdale, and even a cooler spot in Ann Arbor at 44. We do find the Lansing area at 52, 53 in Ionia, and 56 in St. John's. For tonight, temperatures are going to be well below average into the mid-40s. We'll have that cooler weather with those mostly clear conditions. And for your Monday, we'll have temperatures that are going to be into the mid-60s by lunchtime. But that sun, it'll be early on, so it'll warm us up. But still, we're only going to be climbing towards 70 degrees by Monday. The clouds increasing by the afternoon. And then as we head into the evening, that's when we're going to start to see that rainfall for those showers and thunderstorms. Your 6-day forecast using Monday as a warming day, you'll find then 80s as we head throughout Tuesday and even the rest of your 6-day forecast. Much of this forecast is dry, though. Of course, we do have those evening thunderstorms on Monday, and even Wednesday we will be looking at more showers and storms, but we're dry to wrap up the week, even heading into the weekend. Partly cloudy skies, 80 degrees for next Saturday. The 6+6-day forecast continues with dry weather, but you'll see it has a wet finish to our 12 days, and at least our temperatures are going to be holding into the 80s. So this cool spell will actually take our temperatures above average in the coming days.
Well, it looks like right there, I think was that starting on Thursday, it'll be dry for almost a week, and I think that's what we're all looking for.
Yeah, it'll be a really kind of nice, comfortable taste of summer.
All right, I can't wait. Well, thank you so much, Diane. Still to come on 6 News at 11, we'll head over the pond where people are protesting the death of George Floyd. We will take you there right after the break. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. As protests continue to gather attention across the country, several cities around the globe are joining in the marches. Elizabeth Palmer is here for you now from London with how people are gathering in solidarity.
Over the weekend, Londoners hit the streets to show solidarity with protesters in America. We're just sick and tired, and this is the final straw. We're seeing more and more murders.
On Sunday, a huge crowd marched from Trafalgar Square to the American Embassy.
Under the terms of London's lockdown, gatherings like this are strictly against the rules, but thousands of mostly young people decided today was the day to break them.
And break them they did. The police largely stood back. The London March borrowed slogans and chants from the anti-racist movement in America. In Copenhagen, too.
Call it out! Just say something!
And in Berlin, protesters rallied against racist violence. George Floyd's death may have taken place far away from here in America, but it has reverberated around the world. In Canada, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau weighed in.
Many Canadians of diverse backgrounds are watching, like all Canadians are, the news out of the United States with shock and with horror.
The current riots have swept through American cities, he said, but the cause, anti-black racism, is real in Canada, too. Elizabeth Palmer, CBS News, London.
Coming up on 6 News at 11, President Trump is praising the National Guard, but calling protesters anarchists. But first, here's a look at tonight's winning lotto numbers. You're watching 6 News at 11. Welcome back. President Trump praised the National Guard for their response to protests nationwide while blaming violence on anarchists. Nicole Killian is here for you now with the story.
It's unclear how this designation, if it happens, could work since there are no domestic terrorism statutes under federal law. As protests intensified near the White House and across the country, President Trump, in a series of tweets Sunday, praised the National Guard in Minneapolis for shutting down radical left anarchists, then declared the United States of America will be designating Antifa as a terrorist organization.
The president wants to know what the FBI has been doing to surveil, to disrupt, to take down, to prosecute Antifa. And if they haven't been doing that, we need a plan right away.
In a statement, Attorney General William Barr said the violence instigated and carried out by Antifa and other similar groups in connection with rioting is domestic terrorism and will be treated accordingly. Federal law enforcement sources tell CBS News they are still investigating what role extremists may be playing and won't characterize whether they are left-wing or right-wing.
My administration will stop mob violence, and we'll stop it cold.
But some of the president's tough talk and tweets are drawing bipartisan backlash. Lawmakers criticize racially charged posts referencing the most vicious dogs and most ominous weapons. And when the looting starts, the shooting starts.
Those are not constructive tweets, without any question.
He should be a unifying force in our country and not to fuel the flame.
CBS News has learned the White House has raised the idea of the president doing a national address. The mayor of Atlanta advises he should be careful with his words.
We're well beyond the tipping point in America, and it's as my grandmother used to say, if you don't have anything good to say, sometimes you just shouldn't say anything at all.
All right, we're having some difficulties there. Well, health officials say there are 28 new COVID-19 deaths in the state, and right now there are 57,397 positive cases, an increase of 513 cases from Saturday, and there have been 5,491 deaths. As of yesterday, 38,099 people have recovered from the COVID-19 virus. All right, Nick is now here with a look at sports, and I heard there's going to be a new family member in Michigan State coach Jake Boss's house very soon.
Yeah, Kiera, he broke the news to us earlier this week. We'll tell you about his little four-legged family member that you do not want to miss. Plus, we got to take you out to Bristol Motor Speedway for the Food City 500, where a Michigander just got a little more lucky. Stay with us.
This is the LaFontaine Automotive Group 6 Sports Desk.
Good evening, everyone. Race day is once again here, but due to COVID-19, there were no fans at the stands at the track known as the Last Great Coliseum. Bristol Motor Speedway usually sits around 160,000 100,000 people, but only one person felt like luck was on his side for the second Sunday in a row. He just so happens to be a Michigander. The first short track of the season, only half a mile of a track the whole way around, meaning that things get a little tighter around the turns. 200 laps in, Ryan Blaney in the number 12 car trying to get around Michigan's own Brad Keselowski in the number 2 car, but Blaney got a little too loose and into the wall and gets clipped by Ty Dillon, ending both of their days in stage 2. Then madness with 3 laps to go in the race. Joey Logano and Chase Elliott fighting for the lead. Elliott looking to go under, bumps Logano into the wall so Brad Keselowski could take the lead. Now listen to what Keselowski says right after winning at Bristol.
Brad Keselowski wins Bristol. Can you believe it?
Can't say I saw that one coming, Mike.
Let's go to Vegas, Jeremy. And not to race.
Well, back here in mid-Michigan, there's a new 4-legged family member coming to town. Michigan State baseball head coach Jake Boss and his family have been spending some more time together since there's no baseball to be played. Earlier this week, Coach Boss shared with our 6 Sports team what spending more time with his kids turned into getting a new little one to look after.
You know, in a moment of weakness, I was convinced by my daughters to get a dog, so we're getting a dog here in a couple weeks, and yeah, we'll see how all that goes. But so major changes at the Boss house, but no, it's all been good. You know, I'm starting to run out of things to do around the house though, so you know, maybe the dog will be a good idea. We'll see.
You know what type of dog your daughter wants you to get?
Yeah, we're getting a German Shepherd. We pick him up on I think actually on the 10th of June, so same day as the draft. Yeah, so big day.
That's going to be a huge day. I'm excited to see what they're going to name the puppy. Don't worry, we're here at 6 Sports. We'll get you all the details on that, too. Don't go anywhere. Diana's the final look at your forecast when we come back.
We have some wet weather that's going to be starting out our week, but if you do need to get that lawnmower out, if you didn't use the weekend to get that done, Monday early on in the day you'll be good. Tuesday for the majority of the day we should be in okay shape, but Wednesday probably not going to be a day to get that off the to-do list. For tonight, we will be seeing temperatures on the cooler side, sending into the mid-40s. We will see highs tomorrow around 70. It's warming things up as we'll have 80s for the rest of your 6-day forecast. We'll keep an eye on those evening thunderstorms for Monday. Non-severe weather, though, is expected at this time, but stay with us here, of course, with the Storm Tracker 6 team. We'll have dry weather on Tuesday before we have more showers and storms that we'll be keeping an eye on come Wednesday. And then Thursday through even Saturday, we're looking at dry weather, even partly cloudy skies, so that means that some sunshine is on the way.
All right, thanks, Diane. And make sure you stay with us because we're continuing to following everything that happened with the Lansing protest. And remember that curfew goes into effect until 5 a.m.
Good night, everyone.